The next item is a recognition, also in a way, Arc of Weld County Bully Prevention Poster Contest. Dr. Pilch.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. So you saw us recognize Larry McDermott, who is the director for Arc of Weld County, and he and his staff are here tonight to talk a little bit about the poster contest. I understand this is an annual event, and it's a contest that we use to recognize our students. So thank you for being here tonight, and we'll turn the mic over to you and Mr. Gribble.
Thank you, President DeWitt, and to the board. Mr. Mike Heroy is one of our staff at the Arc of Weld County. He's passing out calendars that we have been able to make with grant money from the Community Foundation. And inside the calendars are all of the winners for this year's poster contest. And also, there should be 3 winners of the posters that are circulating among you right now. Like Superintendent Pilch said, my name is Larry McDermott. I'm the director of the Arc of Weld County. Our mission, we are funded through the thrift store. I need to get that plug in. But our mission is to advocate for children and adults with developmental disabilities. And I think bowling is such an emotional issue, obviously. And I think that for parents that have a child with a disability, whether it's real or it's a fear, it's everyone's nightmare that your child is going to, whether it's in school or in the community. And our group that we advocate for is probably one of the more vulnerable ones because they really have difficult time standing up for themselves. This is our second year doing the poster contest with District 6, and in our first year we branched out to Windsor School District RE4 as well. We started out with this not really knowing exactly why we had a grant opportunity to do this. We knew that bullying was a concern. I think as we've gotten into this, I've had a chance to meet some kids and in the schools, and I think that Tom does it here and also in District RE4. There are a lot of good bullying prevention programs out there, and many districts are employing those. I think that what we find is that those are important, but what really is most important are the children in the schools. They are our best allies for being able to stand up for children who are vulnerable and children that cannot defend themselves. I had a chance to meet 3 kids tonight, and I had a chance to meet 3 kids from Windsor the other day. And I remember when I was a kid, my granddad would always say, "What's happening to this younger generation?" You know, I don't get it. But some of the kids that we have growing up in our schools all across the state, we should be very proud of them. I think that's what we've learned is that bullying and other kinds of issues in schools, we hear about a lot of those things. It makes the media, makes the news a lot. But I think we don't always hear enough about the kids that are doing the really important things, but making a friend. And I think that's why we're doing this. I want to recognize Tom for partnering with us the second year. Without having someone in the school district that was saying, you know what, let's give it a shot and see where it goes. We couldn't do this. And I think we've gained access to the kids that attend your schools. And I think that it really helps our mission. Hopefully it helps the schools. And I think it's a win-win for everyone. I would like to turn it over to Mike right now. He is going to have some awards to give out. And you've already gotten some of the calendars. We're going to be doing several things in the schools. We're going to be giving bracelets that says anti-bullying, stop bullying now. Is going to be going to some of the winners. There will be articles in the paper on, so the kids will have a chance to see themselves online. We're having pizza parties. So I was telling Evelyn tonight, you know, she was telling me a little bit about, you know, it was kind of scary when she was younger, you know, kind of having to stand up for herself. But now she's won a bullying picture contest, and now she's a leader. And that's really kind of the cool thing about all this is I think we need to really take opportunities to recognize things that are really good in our schools and in our community. So I'd like to turn it over to Mike, and he's going to take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to thank all of the students in the district that contributed artwork, many of which you can see in the calendars there. The 3 winners are in there as well. And I'd like to introduce you to 3 of your students that are just top drawer. In third place, Elizabeth Merriman.
I think if you'll have
Wow,
her,
good job.
if you'll stay, we'll get a picture. Well, why don't you stay there and we'll get your picture.
We'll get a big family photograph here.
Oh.
Good job,
In
Elizabeth.
second place, Evelyn Bissell.
Nice work, good job.
Congratulations.
And in first place, was it brother won last year? Yes. and this year, Nicholas Corralaldin.
Good job, Nicholas.
That's great. That's great.
You could smile and be okay.
All right, you guys ready for a big smile?
That's great.
Congratulations.
Let the parents get a shot here.
That's great.
Thanks, the three of you. Congratulations.
We
Well
have
done.
one last piece of this that we'd like to have President DeWitt and Superintendent Pilch come up along with Mr. Gribble. One of the things that we feel is important is that there's a receptivity within the schools to be able to work with community agencies like ours to address these issues. So we want to present this award to Mr. DeWitt, to Ms. Pilch, and Tom Gribble. Thank you.
I think we have room somewhere on a wall. This is going to be wonderful. Thank you very much. Thanks for the contribution to our school district. Now, there is just one other item of business, but I'm wondering if some of you kids have to get home to do your homework. In which case, maybe you should sneak out now with your parents, and we will finish up our last agenda item in just about a minute and a half. You've been warned. Thanks for coming this evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item is the 2016-17 district calendar, first read. Dr. Pilch.
You know, you probably don't need much from me on this because I have a whole team of people who've been working on the district calendar, and they come before you. Their leaders come before you tonight, Dr. Kevin Ayton and Ms. Pat Otto, to share with you the proposal around the district calendar for 16-17 school year.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch, President DeWitt, members of the Board of Education. We're proud to be here tonight to bring you a couple of different calendar drafts, a couple months worth of work from our team, which has wide representation from our certified staff to our classified staff to community input. It's a group that's been with us for a few years, and they kind of understand that building a calendar is like moving really big boulders. You can move a couple of them, but they're still really big boulders around some holidays and weeks, and that some calendars are a little tougher and present some different challenges in different years. And I would say this is one of the more challenging years, but yet we were almost able to reach a unanimous option, to bring you one unanimous option and one secondary option, each with their own merits, and that's been our practice in the past for a first read. The information in your board packet, I can go through a couple of things. This year's is more challenging because we do have a board policy that says when we have a Christmas or a New Year's Day that occurs on a Saturday and Sunday, then all staff receive a 4-day weekend, which means the district is closed the Friday and the Monday. And we're in one of those years. That creates a little bit of challenge over the break. We also, so we had to make that change. Both of these calendar options, because of the CMAS windows and some changes we've made, actually recommend pushing up spring break one more week into that more traditional third week in March. And that seems to fit best with some of the new testing windows, and we believe that. One change that came from the teachers was moving the prep day, and I don't know if you want to talk about that, because usually we've done it on a Friday, and moving the prep day around parent-teacher conferences to Monday.
So we had a lot of input, especially from elementary, that the prep day come before you do conferences. Traditionally, what's happened is you have a night conference, usually a Thursday night, and then you have Friday morning to prep, and then Friday afternoon conferences, and the next week usually a Tuesday night conference. So you've already had conferences before you have your prep time. So that was a big voice we heard as elementary's like, please, could we get the prep time ahead that Monday before, so that we can actually have everything done, ready to go. Yeah, the prep time is really prep time. So that's one recommendation that the calendar committee is that usually we don't get into what happens on Monday afternoons for early release, but that was one input, is that the Monday before conferences for elementary, that would be their true prep time for that.
And we're recommending, we haven't lived it yet, we're going to live it in a month, this kind of split schedule around winter break, with some secondary people having school before break and then elementary coming back to do their work after break. We heard good feedback around it. We're going to live through it again, but we are recommending that in both of these calendar options. We've heard good feedback, and we heard that you guys heard good feedback when I was here in the parameter meeting. So we think that's going to continue to be good in both options of the calendar. It's kind of weird that the way these come out when you put the days through the grinder, that both calendars have an option to finish on May 24th, which works out pretty well for us. Then having, the teacher day on Thursday, some graduations that occur Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We heard very strongly from the community members that they like that Memorial Day, official start of summer, graduation for families, and it reduces the CHASA conflicts greatly. There could be a few then, but if you go the week before, it's not if, it's how many CHASA conflicts, including up to 70 people at our high schools in track. You can have quite a few people in those things that are that week before. So we felt like that keeping that and honoring the community and that Memorial Weekend graduation seems to make some sense. So that's kind of the overarching and things that we gave you in the report that keep, in essence, with those changes, it's a very similar calendar to we've used in the past, and we heard pretty good feedback around that. We brought you 2 calendar options that have really, here's where they're primarily different. Calendar Draft 1 has a little bit earlier start. It has a 4-day longer winter break, and there's no day off in April, kind of at the end of the testing window. Again, it ends the same day. The almost unanimous option, Draft 2, gives us 4 more days of late start, which will be very important to things like asbestos abatement. We needed about 4 more days this last summer, and I think we wouldn't have had teachers maybe starting in the Media Center at West. I think if we'd had 4 more days. So, talking with Mr. Johnson, 4 days is not, it's important. So that matters.
So from the classified side, we heard very strongly that would make the whole difference for the start of the school year to have those 4 extra days, primarily Greeley West, to make sure that they're really ready to go and they're not backed up to such a tight deadline like they were this year.
Correct. And then this has a more what you consider traditional winter break, but it also has school on a Monday and Tuesday, and then a teacher work day. And so that, again, that's been traditionally done in the past, and so we didn't consider that an overarching problem. It does feature a new April day off at the end of the testing period for students and for teachers, just at the end of April before we hit May. That also allows us to plumb up the days at the end for graduation. So we're not getting kids out on a Tuesday and then trying to graduate some of those kids as late as Saturday. So it seemed to be a good balance to put that in. And again, it was almost the unanimous choice. Did we get everything?
I think so.
Matt? I think, Mr. DeWitt, we're available for questions.
Dandy. Well, obviously, we appreciate the fact that you work together on this so that employee groups are a voice that leads this discussion.
Correct.
Dr. Richard.
So one of the other differences was when kindergarten students start.
Correct.
And so what happens during that first week with kindergarten? Are those full day or half day classes, or is there a testing period?
There is. Typically those first 3 days are kindergarten testing where they can bring kids in and they can do a lot of assessment.
Yeah. So that's my world.
Yeah, that's your
So a kindergarten.
That's what's going on. I don't know why I'm answering.
So at the elementary level, when everybody 1 through 5 starts, then the kindergartners are on like a little schedule, and they come in for their testing or their assessments, so that then they can have time, kindergarten teachers have time with building administration, then to group kids for their best, so they have a nice balanced classroom. If there's schools that have full day versus half day, so that gives them time to get that all figured out before they have to hit the road running. The tests take a lot of time, our assessments take a lot of time, so they need that time up front. And so that's been traditionally done for several years now.
So the kindergarten start dates are the actual dates when the testing has been completed and they're actually starting in their half day or full day programs. Okay.
Yeah, everybody else, K or 1 through 5, will have started when kinder's doing all their assessment work.
Okay.
So they might have to bring a child in for some period during that time, during those 3 days. So a child might come in for an assessment period.
Like, I think it's usually 45 minutes or an hour, and they usually have like little rotation groups, so they'll hit their different little assessments.
Okay. Okay, then the other topic are snow days.
Correct.
We're not going to have any.
Yes. Our new superintendent has assured us we're not gonna have any. But if we do,
Done. It's just done. Okay.
But if we, on the rare occasion that we do, and I know that it's a concern, again, when we added 30 minutes to the day a few years ago, we do have time. So in rough math figures, we have about 6 extra days at high school, 4 extra days. We're just an hour short of 4 extra days at middle, and we have 6+ days at the elementary level. You always usually have plenty at elementary. And you usually don't have enough in high school, but adding the 30 minutes today, and we dump so much of it in instructional time, that middle's really the only one. And again, we have 4 extra days.
Yeah.
So
It's a big snowstorm.
And since Dr. Pilch says we're having 0 snow days, I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Good question.
Other comments or questions at this time? We know that you're going to come back and present, giving us an opportunity to bring a few more questions to your attention and then to vote on the calendar. But once again, thanks for your participation cooperatively and for keeping everybody in mind on a calendar. It's a tough job.
It is, but we have a great group of people, and we want to assure you that the discussions are lively, like Mr. Girdle said, and we have a great time. And that's shocking that we would say that about a calendar, but they're a really good group of people who deeply and desperately care about doing the right thing for all of our community stakeholders, and that's what's important.
So, and even though it's just 2 of the groups, I don't want to, don't forget classified, and
Nope, that's right.
we do have a citizen that comes, so really it's 4 groups working on this. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great work, you all.
Well, that concludes this meeting of your school board. This meeting is now adjourned. Good night.